Now, before we move on to our inequalities, let's look at some slightly more complicated equations. Now, I made this one a lot more complicated to reduce the number of examples I need to do. First of all, we know we need to solve for the trig ratio. So we can certainly subtract 7 from both sides, and we can divide by 2. And that's the type of thing we were doing last lesson. Now, the difference here is we don't have sine x, we have sine of 3x plus 50. So this is where we did our u-substitution last year. So rather than trying to solve this question, we let u equal 3x plus 50. And then we solve that question, because we know how to solve that question. That one's fairly easy. So we sort of cheat on the question a little bit, but then we change the question back later on. So inverse sine for negative 0.5 gives us negative 30. And then using the symmetry from the graph, we can find out we've got 210 and 330. Now also, on our original question, we were going to go from 0 to 360. So as we've changed our question, we have to make sure our limits change as well. So using this formula, if we plug in 0 into here, you can see that we get 50. And if we plug 360 into this formula, we get 1130. So we are going to solve this question, but we're going to solve it between 50 and 1130. So certainly negative 30 is no good. 210 will certainly fall between those two numbers, and also so would 330. Now to find additional solutions, all we should need to do is add on 360 to each of those values. So add 360, add 360. If you add 360 again, notice it's above 1130, so we can ignore that solution. 330, add on 360, add on 360. If you add on an additional 360, that value is too big. Now we should also check if we subtract 360 as well. That would be negative 150, which is too small. And if we subtract 360 from this, we get negative 30, which once again is too small. Now the key thing to notice about this, with our u sub being 3x plus 50, notice that we actually have 3 valid solutions. And we have 3 valid solutions for this one too. So that's an additional little check that we can do. Now, our answers here are for u, but if we go back to the original question, we can see the question was in terms of x. So we need to change the formula back again. So if we rearrange this formula and solve for x, then we should be able to find the solutions that we're actually looking for. And it's a little bit low, so I'm just going to check that you can see that. But if we rearrange, we get u minus 50 divided by 3. And then if we plug each of those values in turn, those are our solutions that we end up getting. Now, there were some questions for people to try in class as well. I made them from negative 180 to 180 this time, just to practice the idea of subtracting 360 from answers once you have them. And if you want to try those questions, I can reveal the solutions in a second. And notice for the one with 2x, we have our initial values, and then we get those twice. For 3x, we have our initial values, and then we get them 3 times. And actually, when it's a half x, normally we have 2 values, and actually we have a half of that, which is just 1. So that's our additional little check to make sure we had the correct number of solutions for those questions.